cutting the ribbon on what has been about a 4-year cumulative effort with a lot of involvement of our local, state, and federal agencies of a Maritime Security Operations Center. Took about 4 years from conceptualization, funding, and then finally construction and the ribbon cutting today. It's been a good day for the Port of Baton Rouge.
What's inside this building?
We have a tremendous amount of communication capabilities, interoperable radio capabilities, as well as sleeping berths, the ability to sustain itself over a long period of time for people to operate out of and either coordinate security matters as they pertain to maritime on the Mississippi River. We also have some training space downstairs for our local, state, local, and federal agencies to use for training in anything that they like, mainly maritime. The purpose of this building is to help secure what is probably one of the most important waterways in the U.S. Port of Baton Rouge, as well as the jurisdiction of the sheriffs that surround it, responsible for about 85 miles of river and levee, and it's important to us to keep those pieces of infrastructure secure.
This came together as a project about 5 years ago with Central Communications, with the West Baton Rouge Parish and East Baton Rouge, and pooling our resources. And at that particular time, we were West Baton Rouge. I was on the council at that time, and we were building a Central Communications building. Serving at the port as a commissioner, we said it'd be a good idea to let's build one, because we need a command center to protect our river. We need Central Communications. Let's do it together and pool our resources and build one state-of-the-art building. And we started with our financing with the state and feds, and it's about 5 years now, and here we are today having a state-of-the-art command center, not duplicating services, and the funding was much easier and available for us.
Good morning. My name's Jay Hardman. I'm the Executive Director of the Port of Greater Baton Rouge. I'd like to thank all of y'all today for coming out and being with us on what is surely a memorable and important event for us at the port. A little bit about the port. We're ranked 13 in the U.S. based on tonnage, moved through the jurisdiction, which comprised about 85 miles of Mississippi River, about 52 million tons annually on it. Besides myself and the staff of the Port of Greater Baton Rouge, the Port Commissioners also would like to thank and welcome y'all here today. The Port Commission is comprised of 15 members. They serve as our leadership governance board of this port. Most importantly, they devote a lot of their time and bring with it their expertise and professionalism in helping make the Port of Baton Rouge one of the best ports in the United States. And at this moment, I would like my Port Commissioners to stand and be recognized, if you would please. It's the Greater Baton Rouge Port Commission. As you all know, September 11th changed a lot for a lot of people, and in the maritime industry, it made us focusing in on port security, maritime security, and the important aspects of keeping the Mississippi River safe. As we went through and looked to build and establish collaborative efforts amongst other people that also had this responsibility, we looked to the Coast Guard, other federal agencies, our local law enforcement, our local responders, in building and putting together a collaborative effort to see that mission through and to improve that. We sought funding through the Port Department of Homeland Security Grant Program, and were successful. We also derived funding from the state of Louisiana, as well as the Greater Baton Rouge Port Commission. In building those partnerships, we had to strive to get our mission focused and to pull it together. At one point early on in this process, myself and several other commissioners, Commissioner Larry Johnson, who's now our commission president in Washington, D.C., and we were standing talking to a young man who'd been elected to Congress. The man happened to be Bobby Jindal, as we were trying to educate him on our concept and what our maritime stakeholders that we had pulled together needed in order to accomplish securing this particular port, as well as establishing a collaborative effort with other ports up and down the Mississippi River. Lo and behold, this congressman that we all come to know gets elected governor. The port security grant money starts flowing, and we end up being successful in being recipients of that grant, and at the same time then going to our legislative delegation, both senators and representatives, to secure additional funding to complete this. And this has been the forefront of that effort, is this building, as well as JTF-7 and some of the other members that you will hear from today on some of those accomplishments. A few examples of the people or the agencies that will use this building will be the Coast Guard, Corps of Engineers, FEMA, local law enforcement, our responders, National Guard, Department of Natural Resources, Wildlife and Fisheries, just to name a few that this building and this facility is available for them to use. We also have state police that have been instrumental in helping us pull this together and help coordinate these activities. This has definitely been a regional project, and it's required a tremendous amount of effort from both the federal, state, and local agencies to see it through. We feel that we have done and lived up to the letter and spirit of the grants and the funding that's been available to build and construct this, as well as other pieces of infrastructure, in keeping with the theme and motto of maritime security and protecting one of the greatest assets this country has, and it's the Mississippi River.
It's great to be with everyone here, and a real honor for me to join you, including all of the elected and other leaders here. You know, very regularly, every week, every other week, I make a very conscious effort to focus and remember what it felt like right on 9/11 and in the days and weeks immediately following that. As we get further and further from that horrible event, I think it's easier to forget. And I make that effort to focus and remember my feelings and the immediate threat we felt so close to us, to avoid that, because we all need to remember so that we never forget and we never have to live through that sort of horrible event again. This great facility is a function of that sort of exercise and remembering and preparing in a very smart, effective, efficient way. And I congratulate everybody who helped lead the fight for this. It involved a lot of people, a whole joint task force, a number of jurisdictions and officials coming together, federal grants as well as significant state funding. So it's a real success story in that respect too. It also properly reflects, I think, the area and the commerce that it protects. You know, this part of the Mississippi River is the busiest combined port system in the world when you put our ports together. Through our ports here, 1/4 of the nation's energy travels north into the heartland. Most of the nation's agricultural products travel south from the heartland to the rest of the world. So it's enormously significant, and it's a combination of so many different public jurisdictions and public-private partnerships. And this facility reflects all of that, reflects the fact that what we're here to protect is so vital to our nation, with a true state-of-the-art facility and great technology. And it reflects the fact that so many different jurisdictions and ports are ultimately involved, with the joint basis on which so many public servants and jurisdictions, the Port Commission, the sheriffs, 7 sheriffs from the area, state and federal law enforcement, federal agencies like the Coast Guard, have come together very effectively and efficiently. So I'm here to congratulate everyone who's been so involved in this effort. This is truly a facility the taxpayer can be absolutely proud of, because it will help us avoid any 9/11s in the future. Congratulations to all of you.
There is so much we take for granted in this community that really should not be. We take for granted that we have some of the largest ports in the world here in South Louisiana. We take for granted the economic prosperity these ports help create, not only in South Louisiana, but up the Mississippi River Basin, and indeed throughout the world. When I go to Rodea, Rodea is shipping goods from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, throughout the world. That can be said of all the plants and all the facilities up and down this river. we are the gateway for the rest of the country. Now, with that said, and with that economic importance, the question is, how do you provide security? Because if you don't provide security, then that economic prosperity is limited. And the next question is, how do you provide security in a time of declining national resources in terms of federal and state government? Baton Rouge, the greater Baton Rouge area, has come up with a solution. It has been, I am told, and I have no reason to doubt, that this is the first interagency, multi-jurisdictional security initiative taken in the country. Now think about that. The first in the country to provide security for a port on a multi-parish area, multi-county area, is here in this greater Baton Rouge area, here in the port of Baton Rouge. Now that is a credit to all of you. You should be here instead of me, because it is all the men and women lining the outsides. It is the elected officials. It is the law enforcement officials here who have put that together. So not only are we helping create economic prosperity in our state, in our country, and in the world, but we're also giving an example to the rest of the country of how to do it most effectively at a time when others are struggling to put it together. My congratulations to you. Thank you for allowing me to participate in this. I am proud to be an American, and I'm proud to be a Louisianian, and you are a major reason why that is the case. Thank you.
This is a collaborative effort among many jurisdictions and many agencies, federal, state, local, and otherwise. We're honored today to have with us Rear Admiral Roy A. Nash from the United States Department of Homeland Security, United States Coast Guard 8th District Commander.
All the people that worked so hard to bring this ceremony to fruition today and to create this concept and put it into motion, welcome. Thank you for taking time to be here today. First, if I could take a minute to just speak just a little bit about the 8th Coast Guard District and the coordinated work of several local, state, and federal agencies, and with our industry partners. The vigilance that you have demonstrated, each of you, in keeping our citizens, our ports safe and secure is most commendable, and I thank you for your service. The 8th Coast Guard District, as was mentioned, either includes all of or part of 26 states across the Gulf of Mexico and extends up into the heartland of America. And we've heard about the cargo that moves through these ports. In fact, the 8th Coast Guard District stretches from the Appalachian Mountains to the Rocky Mountains and from the Gulf of Mexico all the way to the Canadian border. The 8th District is home to some of the nation's busiest ports. More than 2 million barrels of oil and 1 million tons of cargo arrive daily. 17 of the top 40 busiest ports by tonnage are located in the 8th Coast Guard District. Our mission includes protecting our ports and waterways that make up the marine transportation system. The Coast Guard's missions very simply are to protect people on the sea, to protect the nation from threats coming from the sea, and to protect the sea itself. This extends through our navigable waterways like the Mississippi River behind us, where we are enhancing maritime security, and we're doing it through minimizing security gaps, increasing security enforcement proficiency, advancing partnerships with organizations, increasing domestic maritime awareness, and in improving our readiness. These objectives are the focus, and they are established by our area maritime security committees, which are partnerships where we work with several agencies in the maritime community. It is important to stress the value of partnerships in relationship to accomplishing the overall mission and the greatest efficiency. The Coast Guard and our interagency partners have enhanced our nation's maritime security, but this job just does not end. The partnerships might be defined as different agencies working together to achieve a common set of goals and objectives. Cooperation and mutual contribution are key characteristics of a successful partnership. It is that spirit of partnership that has brought us all here today to participate in both the dedication of this MSOC building and signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between the Joint Task Force 7 and the United States Coast Guard. It was partnerships with the marine industry, with the local, state, parish, and federal law enforcement organizations that helped to make coordination and communication successful in advance of this year's historic high water event. The professionalism and teamwork helped to reduce adverse impacts to citizens and minimize disruption to the marine transportation system. Especially notable was the work done by the Lower Mississippi River Committee, the Gulf Intracoastal Canal Association, the Vessel Traffic System New Orleans, and Marine Safety Unit Baton Rouge to ensure hundreds of tows made it around Wilkinson Point safely. This group showed their readiness and their resilience to recover during the most challenging times. It is these partnerships that we will continue to rely upon to prevent, respond, and recover from any disaster. To help facilitate a comprehensive approach to enhance security programs and minimize vulnerabilities, each port region is required to establish an Area Maritime Security Committee. The Area Maritime Security Committee is a team that brings together the maritime industry, federal, state, and local law enforcement, and first responders. Coast Guard Sector Commander Captain Peter Gautier on my left is the Federal Maritime Security Coordinator charged with promoting cooperation and coordination through these committees. The Baton Rouge Area Maritime Security Committee is a co-committee of New Orleans and was established to better serve our maritime stakeholders in the Baton Rouge maritime area. This committee meets quarterly right here at the Greater Baton Rouge facility behind you and conducts annual security exercises that align the efforts and capabilities within the port area. This group and these meetings and exercises are the foundation of the maritime security operations concept and will be greatly enhanced by the building we dedicate today. Providing the very foundation for this concept, the original building the MOC is built upon was and is the local 911 call and emergency operations center. The Area Maritime Security Committees are also active on a much broader level, and just this past year, the nation of Cameroon visited Maritime Safety Unit Baton Rouge as part of the International Port Security Program. And what this does, it strengthens our marine transportation security by sharing national best practices to ensure a consistent approach to maritime security is performed in foreign ports that trade with the United States. So I would like to commend the Port of Greater Baton Rouge and the members of the Baton Rouge Area Maritime Security Committee for their cooperation and hospitality during this visit. The Area Maritime Security Committee also works to implement the Transportation Workers Identification Credential and the Port Security Grant Programs. The Department of Homeland Security Port Security Grant Program has helped to make significant contributions to minimizing security gaps within the Port of Baton Rouge, which is home to the second largest refinery in the nation, the nation's ninth largest port by volume, with over 900 annual deep draft vessel arrivals and over 500 barge transits daily. The Port of Baton Rouge is one of the busiest chemical corridors with 56 hazardous chemical facilities and a high-density population covering areas over a 40-mile stretch of river. In addition, the Port of Baton Rouge has the second largest number of members enrolled in the TWIC program in the nation, with over 80,000 transportation worker identification credential holders just in this area. The MSOC building we dedicate today and the resources that will be used by Joint Task Force 7 were funded in part through the Port Security Program. And just another example of successful partnerships, the interagency partnership this building facilitates will continue to serve our coordination and stewardship along this vital piece of river. The MSOC will provide capabilities required to facilitate the collaboration by providing an innovative workspace to accommodate a unified command in the event of an extended response incident on the river. It'll allow us to hunker down during natural disasters, It allowed to coordinate the operations of the newly established Joint Task Force 7, allows to increase the area's maritime domain awareness, and allows to enhance port resiliency and recovery capabilities. Just as this section of the Mississippi River here in Baton Rouge is a piece of the mighty Mississippi River, the MSOC in Baton Rouge will be the second of 5 planned MSOCs along 5 ports of the lower Mississippi River. This network of operations centers will provide an interconnected system to ensure a robust and regional security posture. The MSOC serves as a symbol that Homeland Security is not solely a national function. It takes the local parishes, states, and involves first responders, law enforcement, the private sector, and individual citizens all together to that shared responsible of port security. In closing, our greatest source of strength and our greatest sense of safety and security will always ultimately depend on our collective efforts to prevent and respond to an incident and recover from any form of disaster. The capabilities of the Maritime Security Operations Center building and the Memorandum of Understanding between Sector New Orleans and JTF-7 will greatly reinforce the security of this region's strategic assets and ensure the safety and continuance of maritime commerce. We are grateful for the assistance of JTF-7 and proud that the relationships were in place to make this happen, and we're very excited about the future. Thank you for the opportunity to not only share a little of what we're all doing together here, but to thank you for all your work to bring this ceremony forward as we go forward together. Thank you very much. Semper Paratus.
Not only are we here to cut the ribbon on this wonderful building beside us, we're also here today to have a memorandum of understanding signed between JTF-7 and the United States Coast Guard Department of Homeland Security. As Admirals mentioned JTF-7, some of us in the crowd might wonder what exactly is JTF-7. JTF-7 is a joint task force among 7 regional sheriffs who have pooled together their ideas and resources in connection with the Department of Homeland Security to provide security of this region. The Joint Task Force 7 and those 7 sheriffs are here today to sign that memorandum of understanding. Not only is it a collaborative effort of those 7 sheriffs, but also joining us here today is the Colonel of Louisiana State Police, who has given much leadership to these sheriffs and to the state of Louisiana. I'd like to take a moment to recognize Colonel Mike Edmondson. One of those 7 sheriffs is the elected sheriff of Pointe Parish, one of the 6 parishes that I have been so fortunate to have represented over the past 16 years, Sheriff Bud Torres. Sheriff Torres, would you join me here, sir? A 1977 graduate of Livonia High School, thereafter attending numerous law enforcement courses throughout the state of Louisiana, including Louisiana State Police Academy, Louisiana State University Law Enforcement Academy, Louisiana Sheriff's Association Institute. Sheriff Torres is retired from Louisiana State Police with more than 25 years of service, where he was commissioned as a special deputy of the United States Marshals assigned to the FBI Organized Task Force, was elected Sheriff Pointe Parish 2 terms ago, and was just recently re-elected without opposition to Pointe Parish's top law enforcement officer, Sheriff Bud Torres.
Thank you, Senator. Good morning.
Good morning.
I would like to introduce my colleagues and fellow board of directors of JTF-7. Sheriffs, when I call your name, please stand. Sheriff Sid Gautier of East Baton Rouge Parish and the chairman. Sheriff Jeff Wiley, Ascension Parish, vice chairman. Sheriff Austin Daniels of West Feliciana Parish, director. Sheriff Tabbage Bunch, East Feliciana Parish and director. Sheriff Brett Lane, who could not be here this morning, but we have Sheriff-elect Brett Stassi of Iberville Parish. And Sheriff Mike Kaz of West Baton Rouge Parish, Director. Mike is also the state president of the Louisiana Sheriff's Association. Joint Task Force 7 is the first of its kind cooperative endeavor. The three primary groups that make up JTF 7 are the sheriffs, the Port of Greater Baton Rouge, and our private sector industrial partners. The sheriffs provide the law enforcement personnel, their salaries, benefits, and basic equipment, and we have combined our SWAT and Marine assets for a total strength of 125 team members. The Port of Greater Baton Rouge purchased all of the new equipment displayed here today with a grant from Homeland Security for JTF 7. The Port has additionally provided office space to JTF 7, which includes Louisiana National Guard personnel who will coordinate JTF 7's operations. The Port of Greater Baton Rouge will also serve as JTF 7's headquarters. JTF 7 is a task force dedicated to protect life, property, and key resources in the Greater Baton Rouge area from acts of terrorism, both foreign and domestic. History will repeat itself. We must take the lessons learned from 9/11 and prepare for the future. It is not a matter of if, but rather when and where. We must look beyond what is under our control and realize that we are all part of a fragile eco chain. Our neighbors' vulnerability and security, if inadequate, has the potential to jeopardize all of our safety. Truly today, no man is an island. The Mississippi River commerce and resources produced in the Greater Baton Rouge area is vital to our nation. The time has come when we must all work together to protect them. The challenges facing us is daunting, but JTF 7 has the potential to meet those demands. We must negotiate and find the solutions to provide stability to the region. I challenge everyone here to ask themselves, what can I do to make a difference? It has been said that the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. The MOU that we're about to sign formally recognizes the relationship with the United States Coast Guard and Joint Task Force 7. We have a great opportunity to create a system of security that can become the model for the rest of the nation. Of course, this is nothing new for the Greater Baton Rouge area, for just as our LSU Tigers are #1 in the nation for college football, so can the JTF 7 model be #1 in our nation for maritime security. Thank you. I would now like to call up the captain of the port, Captain Gautier.
Sheriff Torres and Sheriff Gautier and all the other sheriffs of Joint Task Force 7, as well as the agency leads and the industry partners that make up that task force. Let me be the first to congratulate you here through the